So you spent literally dozens of hours getting good at Canva so that you can create logos and graphics for your wedding business, post it all over social media. But the problem is, do you actually own any of that property? We're going to find out today's video. Stick around. Man, lawyers will ruin everything, even something as beautiful as Canva, even something as beautiful as all the graphic design work you've done on Canva. And that is because of the Canva terms of service. But this is kind of above my pay grade. So today, in today's video, we're going to have a special guest, and that is intellectual property and trademark attorney, Antonella Colella. Antonella is the founder and managing attorney of Colella Legal Studio P. LLC, a business and trademark law firm based in Pennsylvania. She provides legal counsel to entrepreneurs and both growing and established companies in the following industries: professional services, apparel, beauty, tech, real estate, e-commerce, lifestyle brands, and many, many more. She focuses on such issues as corporate counseling, choice of entity and business formation, for example, and negotiating contracts, as well as what we're talking about today, which is trademark counseling and registration, along with compliance with FTC social media marketing and advertising, for example. We're so happy to have an expert on the show. Antonella, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You have a wonderful Instagram presence, I must say.
Thank you.
And that is how I found you, because you did, I believe, a series of posts or stories or whatever the kids are calling it in terms of putting content out there all about Canva. And so I was like, my audience, to the extent that they don't follow you as well, would really benefit from this information. So let's kind of dive into it if we can. So the main thing, is, what is a trademark? Like, why does trademark and Canva even come into play at all? So just for a
Okay.
50,000-foot view, explain to us what trademarks are.
Sure. So trademarks they're source identifiers. So think about them as ways to distinguish goods or services from each other, really. So another way to think about it is it's branding. It's your brand. Everybody knows that the swoosh on a sneaker is Nike. Everybody connotes that with Nike and kind of knows what that is. And so, you could trademark a business name or a product name, a slogan, a logo, or even the design of a product. And so, we know that branding is just becoming so important, in today's business environment. So it really makes sense if you have a product or even a business name, and sometimes those are one and the same, or a logo that is very distinct and that you want to protect. It is very important that you do so and that you really think about it, because also what's happening in this environment are copycats, especially in the online space, especially on social media. People are just copying names, they're copying even like social media posts, so the looks of your social media page. So it's really important to really protect your design or your name. And to register a trademark, it has to be in commerce. You have to be like selling something, and then it also has to be confusingly similar. So I always get people that will say, "Oh, I know that my name is available to be trademarked because I looked it up on the the U.S. Patent and Trademark website, and it's not there, and so it's available." That is wrong. The U.S. Patent and Trademark Office does have a free search on its website, but it's only searching for identical matches. And that is not what the U.S. Patent and Trademark Examiner is looking at. They're looking to see if you're confusingly similar to another registered mark. So that's why it's also good to have somebody else kind of do that search for you.
That makes a lot of sense. I guess, long story short, then, many kind of graphic renderings, drawings, things that you look at visually, like logos, perhaps the way in which your business name is spelled out. These things can be trademarked. And the reason why they're trademarked is to kind of protect a brand and prevent brand confusion amongst the consumers, so to speak. So that all makes sense. Now, can you kind of talk about, um, and I guess that that kind of frames the show because a lot of my audience and probably a lot of your audience goes to uh, graphic design platforms, graphic design software like Canva to produce that graphic representation of a brand, the graphic representation of the company. Either they're doing logos, they're writing their name 100 different ways in 100 different fonts or whatever.
Right.
So before we get into the legalities of that, can you actually talk about, I guess, what is Canva like, and when we're using Canva, are we agreeing to anything? Like, what's is there a term of service, I guess, so to speak? Can you kind of talk to that?
Yeah, so Canva is it's a an application, it's a website where you could create logos, you could design. I mean, I use Canva. I mean, when you look at all the things that you can create there, it's really amazing. You could create your own letterhead, your PowerPoint, the way that you could create a whole branding suite on Canva. So what the problem or issue that does come up is that when you create something on Canva, it is not yours. You don't own anything that you create on Canva. And so Canva is giving you a license to use the design, the logo, and it actually, in the terms of service or terms of use of Canva, it actually expressly says that you cannot trademark any of the design elements that you use in Canva. So now, what does design elements mean? I mean, who knows? But it's probably the look of it, the colors that you're using, the feel of it, and the design. I mean, that's pretty clear cut that you cannot use that to register your own trademark.
So I guess then it's in a way, by agreeing to use Canva, you are essentially entering into a contract with Canva regarding how you will be able to use the drawings, the logos, and things that you produce in it. Like it's not something along the lines of I paid whatever it is, $9 a month or $50 a month or whatever, and what I make is mine. You're saying that it's not like that through the contract that you are agreeing to when you use Canva. Is that right?
Yes. So the terms of service. So each website, every website should have it. If it doesn't have it, then it absolutely needs to have it. It has a terms of service or terms of use, they're called. They're at the footer of the website. Hardly anybody reads them or looks at them, but they are very, very important. And in it, it's going to tell the website owner is telling you as the user kind of like what are the rules of the road of this website. This is what you can do on this website. This is what you're prohibited from doing on this website. And by using this website, you agree to the terms. That's it. That's what they say on there. And they even say expressly, a lot of them or most of them say, if you do not agree with what is written here, please leave. Please get off the site. You cannot use it because you're not accepting the terms. So by using Canva, you are actually accepting the terms of the contract, and you are bound by them.
Okay, so let's kind of unpack a little bit about what you said. The first thing is this: is that let's say that my purpose as a wedding professional and using Canva in this particular instance is to create a logo. So I'm gonna you know click some buttons, get the clip art or however it works. I'm still using Adobe Premiere or Adobe Photoshop. I leaped into 1996. That's where I'm at. So I'm not greatly familiar with Canva, but let's say that you are going into Canva, you create a logo. So what you're saying is you would potentially be breaching the scope of the license or the contract that you have with Canva if you then went and hired an attorney such as yourself to trademark that logo, right? And so I guess,
Exactly.
and so that trademark itself might not be valid, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you're expressly, breaking that contract. And then, I mean, the other thing to think about with logos that are made in Canva is that you have another hump to get over, which is the confusingly similar standard. So if you are trying to register a logo that millions, maybe billions of people have access to the same look and the same design element, that's another thing. You might not even be able to get that trademark because it's not distinct enough, and it might be similar and probably would be similar to many things that are out there.
Let's talk then about, okay, so I think that we got it. If you're going into Canva for some type of long-term brand purpose with your company, you're probably, it's not a good thing. So let's talk about actually then in terms of, you said there's a quote unquote license that you have. Let's talk about what you can do with the stuff. So with that terms of service with Canva, if what, can I design something in Canva, print it out, make 100,000 copies of it, and give it away? Like, can you kind of explain to your knowledge what you
Yeah.
could do with the stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely use it. I mean, you're making a logo. You can use it on your social media. You can absolutely use it on a website or as your branding. It's just you're not going to be able to own it, to protect it, and to protect that branding. So, what's the consequence of that? There could be somebody else that could come along and take the name, the look, the feel, the actual design. If it's similar to what you're doing. So that's really the problem with the issue with using Canva for long-term branding.
So then I guess what are some best practices then for a wedding professional? I know you kind of got into it earlier in the episode with regard to like seeking somebody out that can run searches or whatever, but what are some best practices with, you know, brand design, logo design, all these type of things that you may or may not be using with Canva? Can you just kind of enlighten our audience with what some things they can do?
Yeah, so there are some websites out there like Fiverr or Upwork, that where you hire a graphic designer and they design a logo for you. Now, those terms of service for those sites are actually different than Canva. So they actually say that the buyer of the logo, owns the copyright and owns the rights. Okay, so that's a good thing. The only thing that you have to triple check is that some of the designers on there, they're freelancers, so they're independent. They may have different terms, so they might have their own terms. So that would be, once you go and order the logo on a particular person's page, you go to pay for it. They might have, I mean, they usually have, some narrative or some terms or their own kind of, rules and code there. So that's something that you want to make sure that you look at that too, to make sure that they are not retaining the rights and that they are, if it doesn't say anything, then you can assume that whatever is on the terms of service of the website, rules basically. And so, or if you decide to hire a graphic designer, outside of one of these sites or somebody that you want to make sure that whatever in, your service contract with that person has some clauses that deal with this particular situation. So, who owns this design? If you're hiring a graphic designer to do that, they're usually going to give you the rights. You usually are going to be the owner of the rights, and you can do whatever you want with it. I mean, that's really the best thing that you can do. And this way, for sure it's in a contract, and then you absolutely own it, and you can do, really whatever you want with it. So, in terms of best practices, read the terms. If you are going to use a website like that, make sure you read the terms, and then double check with the particular designer that you are using.
That's exceptional. And I would put one extra asterisk if you are retaining somebody as a wedding professional to do graphic design work or whatever. And that's some type of indemnification where if the graphic designer has actually stolen something and
Right.
or in some way has infringed on somebody else's rights in providing you with that design or logo or some type of graphic representation of your company, what that indemnification clause will do is it will allow you, if you are the defendant, if a third party comes in and goes, hey man, you stole my swoosh or you stole my three stripes, that's my stuff, and that graphic designer did that for me, What that would allow you to do is you either can a couple different things. You can either interplead the graphic designer in and make the graphic designer pay or defend you, or essentially absorb any of your losses or judgments against you. So that's something that I got burned myself, maybe 10 years ago doing that, and I always include that whenever I hire a professional
Okay.
to
Yep, absolutely.
work. So that's just a little extra bonus if you're listening. So great information, Antonella. If anybody out there is really interested in like, well, man, let me, like this is crazy. Let me get started on trademarking my stuff right. Do you do trademark registration? Ugh, do you do trademarks? And if so, how can people get a hold of you?
So I do the registration for clients. It entails the search that I talked about earlier, but it's a more comprehensive search. It's a better search. And then the actual application and and follow up. You could reach me on my email is Antonella at colellalegalstudio.com. I'm sure that Rob will have that info for you also. Or my Instagram handle is Antonella underscore ESQ. I have a lot of I give a lot of trademark tips on there, and I have some videos on there as well about trademarks. So I'm pretty easy to reach on social media as well.
And I'll have all that information in the show notes. And again, I would highly advise that you follow Antonella on Instagram at least, because there is a lot of great information. And again, like I said, the genesis, so to speak, of this show was her Instagram feed. So Antonella, thank you so much for being on the program. A lot of great information today.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
I hope that you found the content of this video fantastic. And if you did, please be sure to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you're watching it on the YouTubes or wherever you get your podcast from. Be sure to leave a comment or leave a review for the podcast. If you have a suggestion for something that you want to see covered in the future, please let me know. I would be forever grateful. New videos every week. They drop on Mondays. And with that, folks, we'll see you next week.